All right, so with your hammock that I gave you, or hammock chair, they're pretty much kind of the same. There's a couple of different configurations I gave folks, but you're gonna need to first identify the different components. So in the little kits I gave you, you're gonna have your hammock inside of a bag. Now this is a actual hammock, not a hammock chair, but it's all gonna work the same between the two. So you got your hammock body, which is the actual fabric piece. You're going to have two straps. They may be wound up together. These go around the trees. And then you're going to have two suspension lines that are going to hook to these straps and to the hammock. And then you're going to have a ridge line. For the hammock, this ridge line is about 9 feet long. For the hammock chair, it's about 28 inches or so long, and you can identify that one because it's just a string with two loops on the ends. There's no other, it's just a straight string with two loops. So next we'll identify, look at the suspension strings or straps with the Chinese finger prison mechanism on it, and so you can identify those. Okay, now identifying the suspension straps with the Chinese finger prison, you're going to have one end that has a loop in the end of it, and then that is going to be very closely attached to where the two strings come together. And you see this one, there's a little tail with a knot. That's the loose end with the little knot in it, and the knot's there to keep this piece of rope from going back up inside of the Chinese finger prison. It'll actually stop itself from going back up in there. Then you have where the Chinese finger prison is. Then you have a, I forget what you call this. It's a hitch that you use on tent stakes and stuff, but it's just there to keep pressure on the rope. And then there's the rest of the rope, and it'll end in a loop on the end. This is what's going to go around the strap. And then this is the toggle. I forgot to mention you should have two toggles, which are just a little piece of arrow body, arrow shaft cut off, and that's what you're going to use in your marlin spike hitch. Now I'm going to show you how to take these two ridge lines. You should have two of these, or two suspension ropes, and show you how to attach this to the hammock chair or hammock body. Okay, one end of or on both ends of the hammock chair and hammock body, there's going to be a sewn channel, and you can see that there's three. Get out of here, Chip. Chip, down here, down here, down here. Come on. Sit. So on the hammock chair and hammock body, on both ends, there's going to be a sewn-in channel, and you can identify that because it's looped over. You can see that I can stick my finger in there. There's a nice area here for you to put the rope through. And there's 3 rows of stitches. It may look like 4 on some because of the way I do it. And the idea is that we're going to run the little loop end of this. It's very close to where the tail comes out. This is the end that connects to the hammock. All right, we're going to run this loop through that loop end on the hammock, and we're gonna lark's head it together so that it's holding the hammock. All right, so we're gonna put this piece of the suspension string with the tail end close to the loop. We're gonna put this into the loop end on the hammock. So we're gonna insert that, and then we're just gonna work it through a little by little until we come out of the other end. And the fabric's pretty loose, so you should be able to work it through there pretty easily. And I just get the little tail end caught on that end to keep it from the rope from going too far in there. And we'll keep working that through, working that through, working that through. Almost there. Some people use a piece of maybe a dowel or something to stick through there that's hard, but I find it's pretty easy just to put it through there. Okay, so now I've got the hammock between the loop and the tail end there. And I just take it and I put that rope back through that loop and pull it all the way through. Oh, before I do that, I forgot one step here. Before we do that, when we have our loop here, we're going to take our ridge line, which has a loop on each end, and I'm first going to put that loop over this one, just so it's hanging free there. And then I'm going to take the other end of my suspension rope and pull it through. So when I pull this tight, what you'll see is this loop gathers the hammock together on one end, and my suspension or my ridgeline rope is hanging free from there. And so what you'll notice is when I do this on the other end of the hammock, the other end of my ridgeline rope, I'll do the same thing over there, so it'll be straight between the two ends. All right, you can stop. You say action. Okay. All right, so now I've already put the other suspension strap through the hammock end, the sawn in channel on the other end of the hammock. And I've got the other end of my ridge line, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put it over the loop and then pull the rest of my suspension line through the loop and pull that tight. And again, that's called a lark's head. That's the name of that type of knot when you pull a loop through like that. All right, so now my hammock is set up and I can go to hang. So we can stop. Action. Okay, on your two straps, your tree straps, you're going to have a loop on one or both ends. You're going to take one of the loops and you're going to put it around the tree. Like so. And put the free end through the loop. Like that. And you pull that tight. Okay? So now you've got this free end hanging from the tree. All right, stop. Have you been going for a long time?
No.
Okay. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take one end of the hammock and your suspension rope, and you're going to take the loop that's on the end. All right, and I have my toggle kind of tied to that just for convenience sake. But I'm going to take that loop and I'm going to put the strap through that loop and just kind of hang it up at the top just for now. Now, you got to get real close for this. Now, I'm going to take the, just so you can see both my hands.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to make a loop in the strap, just like this. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to turn it up onto the strap itself. And you can see, I can see the strap through the loop. I pull that strap through the loop like that with my finger, and that's basically a marlin spike hitch, but I can't keep my finger there forever, so I'm going to take this toggle and I'm going to replace my finger with that toggle, and then I'm going to cinch it down so that it's tight on that toggle. Now you'll notice the loop from my suspension is falling down on top of that knot. Now the critical thing here is that the loop from the suspension rope goes on top of the knot like that, not on top of the toggle, like if you had it sitting on over like this, or you just had it around the toggle itself. You want to make sure that you're over the whole knot like that. And so now the suspension is going to put pressure on this knot instead of the toggle, because the toggle is not very strong, but it's able to withstand the pressure of the knot tightening up, but it can't withstand the actual pressure, the full weight of the suspension when you're in the hammock. So now that end of the hammock is connected to the tree. Okay, you can stop. So you can see the whole hammock?
Yeah, go.
Okay. All right, so now that we've got both ends of the hammock hooked to the trees, you'll see that it's too close to the ground, number one, so I'm not going to be very comfortable in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to tighten up each end. And what we want to achieve is we want to achieve this rope being at a 30-degree angle from horizontal. So about right there is where we want to be. Now what that does is it distributes your weight the most efficiently, so that you're not putting too much pressure on the ropes or on the ridge line. So 30 degrees is where you want to go for. All right, so here I am at the end of the hammock, and I'm going to shorten this so that my hammock gets tighter. So you see I have my free end hanging down. I have my little knot up here, and this is my Chinese finger prison. And so when I pull that down, this loosens up a lot. Now I can grab at the bottom here with one hand, and with the other I can pull that rope through that Chinese finger prison until I get it where I want it to be. And then I just simply straighten out that Chinese finger prison, stretch it out, and it captures that other rope. So it's just hanging there. But now, and I give it a good test pull and make sure that it's latched on. And now that's in place, no knots or anything. I just slide it back and forth on there to get it to the height that I want. I'm going to do the other side, and then we'll show you how the hammock should hang. Okay, so now I've got the hammock set up pretty good. What you'll see is, without my weight in it, you can't really tell for sure, but my ridge line is straight. The angle that I have right here is pretty close to 30 degrees. So I feel pretty good about that. And then when I push down in the middle, I'm about the right height above the ground for a comfortable seating position. So with that, you gather a little bit up underneath your legs. Make sure you spread the rest out behind you and sit down in the hammock. It's gonna be a little nervous at first, but I just set this up. I hadn't sat in it yet, so right off the bat I was very comfortable getting in it. And then for the hammock, what you're going to want to do is you lay in it at a diagonal. So I normally put my feet to the right and I put my head all the way over to the left. And this allows you to lay much flatter. And so I'll demonstrate that. So you can see that my feet are at about the same level as my head. And my rear end droops down just a little bit like a lazy boy almost. And you can play with the length of the ridge line and droop this more and get a little bit, if you make this shorter, the ridge line shorter, you can get it where you lay a little bit flatter and find the sweet spot basically. So you'll notice that my ridge line, I actually have it made where it's adjustable so I can try different lengths to find out what kind of the optimal length was, which is what your guys should be all 108 inches or so. So that's how you set up the hammock. Okay.
Action.
Okay. So the only differences between the hammock and the hammock chair is kind of the way you want to set it up. That 30 degrees doesn't really matter anymore. You actually, the steeper you can make that, the better. It's going to be more comfortable because you're just basically hanging straight down from the trees. The other thing is the length of your ridge line is always adjustable. Well, now I'm making an adjustment. Yours, the ridge lines I gave you guys are just straight ridge lines. So just get it set up at least 30 degrees here, but you know, all the way up to 85 or 90 degrees would be fine. Some of you may have cinch buckles, which are this part right here, just like a buckle. You tighten and loosen it. Just make sure that the strap is straight and dressed appropriately going through the buckle. If you get like a twist or anything in it, it'll loosen up while you're sitting in it, and you don't want that to happen. And that's pretty much it. Yours, the way I had y'all set up is this ridge line is actually going to be attached right here, just like on the hammock, just like we did on the previous demonstration. And you kind of got to lead your head under it. If y'all want me to, I can make y'all new versions like these that set up like this. But other than that, the hammock chair is basically the same principle. And then once you get it set up, you'll notice that one side is higher than the other. The low side is where you put your rear end. The high side is where you put your head. Otherwise, you're going to be upside down. So I've never sat in this one before. So you give it a little test before you fully commit, and then you're good to go. So if I want to sit more straight up, I get a little bit more underneath my legs, and I'll sit pretty much straight up, and I can see to the sides and talk to other people and so forth. If I want to really lay back and relax, I scooch my rear end almost all the way to the edge of the fabric, and then I can kick back in it like that. So enjoy.